Shalom, shalom, everybody. How y'all doing? Welcome back. What up, baby? I'm trying to get the phone charged. We out here. What's up? Welcome back to the next session of Reading with SHILO. What's up, everybody? I'm SHILO. I'm out here, baby. What's up? We are here. We're going to read the next two people in Speak Unto the Children of Israel, curated by George Frazier, Stan Matthews, and AZANIAH Israel. Who blessed you? So we already read a total of 4 people. The book has 20 people, 20 people's stories, and we read 4 people's stories. So we're going to read the next 2 on the list of the book, which is Miss Shirley Muhammad, and then also Eugene Poole. We'll read both of them for tonight, and that'll be it on this book until Sunday, and we'll come back tomorrow with the Sabbath reading. We'll open up 2 Samuel tomorrow. But yeah, let's jump into it. Who blessed you? Who blessed you? Who blessed you? My brother AZANIAH Israel, George Frazier, and Stan Matthews. Shirley Muhammad. I never would have made it. I never would have made it. My bad, that's all I shit, that's what I hear. That's what I heard when I never would have made it. A sharecropper's daughter. My dad, James Tolbert, was a sharecropper from Troy, Alabama, born on January 29th of 1929. Yes, sir. He was the second of 4 children, born to Jesse and Gussie Tolbert. He was the only male child in the family and 3 sisters. My dad's mother is Cherokee Indian, and my grandmother's heritage is from African and descendants of slaves. My father and the entire family worked on the sharecropping farm in Troy, Alabama. In the rural South, sharecropping enabled white landowners to reestablish the labor force, which gave Black people no financial security. By the early 20th century, cotton had become king, and the labor of picking cotton in the deep South was intensive and focus-driven. Since cotton had become a main commodity, sharecroppers spent many hours picking cotton. It was common for workers to labor in cotton fields anywhere from Shalom, everybody. My dad and his family faced many adversities in the heat with little to no compensation. My aunt shared disturbing stories where fainting, strokes, and exhaustion were a common occurrence on cotton plantations. She told me how she fainted on several times while working in these hot and humid cotton fields. During his teen years, cotton picking, my dad, like my aunt, witnessed the harshness of sharecropping. He knew he had to leave home to obtain a better life, but was not sure how to leave the place he always called home. His self-determination spoke to his desire wanting to leave the South. And deep within, he knew the injustice of sharecropping were plain and human. There was a human need to escape Jim Crow laws that gave birth to sharecropping. Let's see. Dad finally decided to leave the South and enlist in the U.S. Army at an early age to escape Jim Crow and all his devices. Enlisting into the military and taking care of the family served as one of the greatest freedom tickets for my dad to experience social and economic liberation. After enlisting in the Army, my dad sent money back home to the family in Troy to ensure that upon his return to Alabama, they would leave the South, head east, and never returned to the land of evil inopportunity. During his military tenure, he fought in the Korean War, which lasted for 3 years long, causing the lives of thousands of Americans and Asian soldiers. His right leg got crushed from the overturn of a military Jeep army truck, causing him to lose a leg. After the accident, he was flown back to Walter Reed Hospital to receive a prosthetic leg. The Jeep accident resulted in an honorable discharge for my father. However, the loss of his leg impacted his life. On March 4th of 1956, my mom and dad were married in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and my oldest sister was born on June 22nd of that same year. My father's sharecropping experience influenced my understanding of the importance of not holding on to the sharecropper's mentality. Unlike my dad, who did not receive a formal education, my educational journey began with studies in sociology, research, and journalism, and later I received a master's degree in accountancy to become a tax accountant. My education created a foundation for me, yet I yearned for more of something that was missing, something that would make my education work for me, which I later discovered was understanding the science of business. Though my father never received his 40 acres with a mule, deep in my heart, I still desired my own 40 acres and a mule. His insular job just overbroke. Rather, his life experience encouraged me to pull myself up from deep within, to become an entrepreneur that my father would be pleased with. His experience allowed me to oppose working 8 hours for someone else. The 9-to-5 rat race we call a job sadly reminds me of how we sell ourselves short, robbing us of our own freedom to do for ourselves. And in a way, we are still sharecropping, but today with some form of compensation for creature comforts only. Back in the day, sharecropping was just another form of slavery, an economic tool that kept my father, along with millions of Black families in the South, dependent on white landowners. Only after leaving the South was my father able to experience upward mobility and to create a life for himself without having to look over his shoulder in fear of being run down and kidnapped by Klansmen. Today, I have been a business owner for 23 years. I recognize I'm a work in progress, and over time, I have shed my sharecropper's mentality. By removing the mental shackles of dependence and replacing it with a wonderful do-for-self business acumen. The life and legacy of a hip-hop mogul. My son, born Dwayne Lamar Tolbert on November 13th of 1971, had been a successful business person as far back as I can remember. Selling a variety of shoelaces and tennis shoes, his entrepreneurial journey began in middle school. After high school, Dwayne chose not to attend college, something that I genuinely wanted for him. One day, in our conversation about college, he said to me, "What can they teach me?" He proved to me that he had big dreams and he was determined to make his big dreams come true. Dwayne decided to attend school to become a successful travel agent, and at 19, he owned a fragrance business. During the beginning stages of the hip-hop era, he was attracted to the music industry and soon became a worldwide hip-hop promoter, networking with music moguls Russell Simmons, Ron Isley, and Charlie Wilson, and many others. He later created 360 Entertainment, a promotion business, which I was impressed with his business skills. In the gospel industry, he collaborated with legendary great Shirley Caesar. Another thing that was an inspiration for me was his ability to give back to the community. Under the 360 Entertainment umbrella, he created a dynamic hip-hop music awards to give back to the community. It was his desire for Black youth to have their own BET awards and in their own neighborhoods. It also served as an alternate to combat for selling of drugs in the Black community. I was mesmerized by my son's ability to grow his 360 Entertainment so quickly. This made me take a second look at his business strategies. And while I was working a 9-to-5 job, my son already had an office in the business district area of down Pittsburgh, located on Smithfield Street. I was convinced that there was something incredibly special about my son's business talents. But by then, he had already accepted the teaching of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, which had a significant impact in his life. I noticed that besides practicing a disciplined lifestyle, the teaching also taught my son about the Muhammad Economic Blueprint, an economic program designed to help Black people to help themselves in the battle to create jobs as well as in poverty and want. As a mother, to witness my son's life-changing transformation influenced me. He led the disciplined life and became a business person simultaneously. I was totally enamored with the Nation of Islam's impact on Dwayne's life. The teaching of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad had become a redeeming quality for his life. And on December 4th, 2011, my son transitioned from this earthly life due to a blood clot that traveled to his heart at the age of 40, the age of spiritual maturity. His transition acknowledged that his work was complete on this plane of existence. His legacy and business talents will forever live in my heart. He is still my rock, my inspiration and motivation. May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. The martyr. My grandson, Dwayne McGee Tobit Muhammad, February 3rd, 1989 to May 4th, 2018. A splitting image of Nipsey Hussle. There lies the makeshift memorial spot created by Dwayne's homies at the exact location where he was gunned down in front of the Nation of Islam Mohammed Study Group in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. This is the location where we worshiped and propagated the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad under the leadership of the Honorable Louis Farrakhan and his faith as a Muslim. It is safe to say that May 4th, 2018 impacted lives and changed them forever. The sudden death of Dwayne resonated from the streets of Pittsburgh, Philadelphia to Chicago and spread throughout the entire world like a wildfire. Hundreds of thousands knew Dwayne as the other side of 360 Entertainment, is the real estate of the legendary Worldwide Hip Hop Awards, founded by his father, Dwayne Muhammad, PBUH, also mentioned as one of the 3 people who influenced me. Dwayne Muhammad Jr. was an expert salesman, a characteristic and personality he inherits from his father. He shadowed his father for many years to learn the hip-hop industry. He was very philanthropic. Wanting to see an end to poverty everywhere. There were so many levels to him and so much land that he had covered in short 29 years of life. My grandson checked in on his sibling as requested by his father, who seemed to know that he had a destiny on the wheel. My grandson would always remain a martyr because he was assassinated with the Final Call newspaper in his hand. Dwayne was a representation of peace, which sounds like an oxymoron, especially in inner city of Pittsburgh neighborhoods. What young Black man do you know who don't conduct business in a community with and have camaraderie with a known rival person? Dwayne, although not perfect by any means, he made sure he was connected with his family, especially all his siblings. He was very instrumental in teaching his little sister to cover up as a female Muslim. Every now and then, I would get that special call from Dwayne just to see how I was doing. There is a saying that leaders are born and not taught, and to whom much is given, much is required. Dwayne wore many hats, always with the inherent for the greater good of his family, the Nation of Islam, and community. Such an activist must be celebrated by their actions, simply leading by example, which was evident at his vigils. Not only was the janaza, I think I'm pronouncing it right, or funeral service completely packed at the Community Empowerment Association, located on the Homewood section of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. But the Nation of Islam student minister Victor Muhammad spoke, and the regional Delaware Valley student laborers attended out of Muhammad Mosque, number 12, located in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The broader Islamic communities were present. Community activists, his peers and family and friends and colleagues. Security was very tight inside and outside, and everyone in attendance was searched. The Nation of Islam provided and the security deemed for the fallen soldier. My grandson started a movement that must be continued, but not just in Pittsburgh, worldwide. The world can benefit from more activists, more entrepreneurs, and people willing to give back and build in their communities. Dwayne's legacy will live through his children, children's children's children, through Voices of Black Mothers United, a national organization and movement founded by Dr. Robert Woodson and founder of the Woodson Center. VBMU is a group of Black mothers who have lost loved ones to Black-on-Black homicides within their own communities. We advocate, intervene with families and communities, and promote positive policing. My grandson transitioned, making a change in his life, and accepted Islam. His change touched many people. For me, understanding the platform I have and who it speaks to is about being strategic. We can't stand on the corner with the bullhorn and preach. That isn't going to work. We have to be strategic and make an impact through influence. I wanted to redefine the lifestyle and what we view as important. Nipsey Hussle. Life is like accounting. Our happiness, credits, and sorrows always debits. Vidhav Singh. Gratefulness to Master Fard Muhammad for informing me that I will never have to want for anything in righteousness. Gratefulness to the most honorable Elijah Muhammad for Muhammad Economic Blueprint. Gratefulness to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan for singing my swan song so that I can live. In loving memory of my son, Dwayne Tobert Muhammad, my best friend, my business partner, and who has my motherly love unconditionally and who was always there for me, regardless. In loving memory of my grandson, Dwayne Tobert McGee Muhammad Jr., the martyr. In loving memory of my mother, Thalia K. Tobert, who taught me to get an education because no one can take it away. In loving memory of my father, James L. Tobert, thank you for letting me see you read, think, and grow rich by Napoleon Hill. In loving memory of my older sister, Gussie L. Tobert, who encouraged me when I did not have the courage. In loving memory of my beautiful cousins. In loving memory of my aunts and uncles for teaching me life. In memory of my maternal and paternal elders I stand on, is blessed to celebrate her 90th birthday on May 30th of 2021. To my brother, who is one of the stubbornest persons that I know, and to my sister, who is the version of my mother. Gratefulness to my friends, colleagues, and the mighty MGT and GCC, too many to mention, and the FOI that have been my brothers and protectors. Gratefulness to my mentors, Excuse me. Some of them. Say it again, sir. Okay. What am I doing? So what do you need to do? Okay, that's all you have to do, sir. Gratefulness to my mentors. Some of them I have claimed without asking or meeting, including Harriet Tubman, PBUH, Mother Clara Muhammad, PBUH, Mother Khadijah Farrakhan Muhammad, the mother, and Mother Tainetta Muhammad, PBUH, and Sister Dr. Ava Muhammad. To the Matthew Business Network and its many members, far too many to name, Dr. George C. Frazier, who my son introduced me to and explained to me that networking is the keys to business success. Shalom. Dr. Robert Woodson of the Woodson Center, a Black philanthropist that supports the least of these in most neighborhoods across the United States. Voices of Black Mothers United, a national movement that advocate, intervene with families and communities, and promote positive policing regarding families that lost loved ones because of Black-on-Black homicides in their own communities. Gratefulness to my grandchildren, Daryl Tolbert McGee Muhammad, the twin brother of my grandson, Dwayne Tolbert McGee Muhammad, who was murdered, who will be home sooner than later, now that you know the power of manifesting. Akbar Muhammad, you will forever be in my heart. Amani Muhammad, my princess, may your college experience grant you peace and success. To my great-grandchildren, Daryl Muhammad Jr., Nyla Muhammad, and Diasia Muhammad, each one of you are the reason for this legacy asset so that each one of you can share this legacy asset with your children's children, and their children's children, to have and to hold for their lifetime. May Allah grant you the abundance of peace, blessings, and health and prosperity. You are Muhammad, worthy to be praised worthy much. Shirley Muhammad is the owner of your professional tax and accounting services, where she has been the senior tax accountant for the past 23 years. She was born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where she currently resides. Ms. Muhammad graduated from Westinghouse High School, a public school located in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. She graduated from Duquesne University, also located in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where she received a bachelor's degree in sociology, research, and journalism. She later received a master's degree in accountancy from the University of Phoenix. She has been employed as an accountant for both City of Pittsburgh and Allegheny County collector's offices. I guess that's how you say it, Allegheny. Ms. Muhammad publishes fictional short stories entitled Helpless. These are short stories dealing with forensic tax fraud. Ms. Muhammad was the consultant to an original play, A Nation Can Rise No Higher Than Its Woman. She is the executive life coach where she helps individuals and teams to increase awareness, set up business goals, and develop as leaders and influencers. Ms. Muhammad's pride and joy is developing projects and programs for her nonprofit organization, Your Sister's Project, Inc. She also enjoys walking and talking and taking photographs in nature. She is a graduate of Cora Women in Leadership, Class 8, and Ms. Muhammad was selected in the 2008 New Pittsburgh Courier 50 Women of Excellence Award in Business. That was Miss Shirley Muhammad. Miss Shirley Muhammad. Now we're going to read Miss Eugene Poole. Miss Eugene Poole. Miss Eugene Poole. Always strive to live your life as that you can help others. Yeah. See, this is about 4 pages. Always strive to live your life so that you can help others. When I was a child, I was always looking for something that made sense of why I was here and what I was supposed to do. I remember when I was 2 years old growing up in the Bronx, river housing projects in New York City, my older sister asked me to give her my milk bottle. Although I wasn't quite sure why she needed it, I knew she was my older sister whom I adored and love even now. I gave her my bottle. After all, she was a year older than me. After thanking me for handing over my bottle, she would hide behind the door from my mother and drink all my milk. Afterwards, she gave me back my empty bottle. Once I put the bottle back in my mouth and realized that there was no more milk, I would cry loudly. And my mother would come to see why I was crying because she knew she had just given me a full bottle of warm milk. Since my mother was upset and my stomach was empty, it made me wonder why I did not know that my sister would drink my milk. As I got older, I realized that I needed to find a way to understand why I was here and what I was supposed to do. Although I never felt poor, I knew that there were times in the week when food would become scarce until my father got paid on Fridays. Because my mother did not work outside of our home. My parents had 5 children, 3 girls and 2 boys. My sister, who used to drink my milk, was the oldest girl and I was the oldest boy. As time went on, we were introduced to the Lutheran church where their members would come into our housing project singing and preaching of God's it's night. My shit. We're gonna see. We're gonna see. We're gonna give it a hot little second right quick to see if it shut off on me again. And if not, we'll keep pushing. As time went on, we were introduced to the Lutheran church, where their members would come into the housing projects, singing and preaching the gospel on the streets. We would all gather around to see what they were singing about. And once they piqued our interest, they invited us to join their church. Their approach was much appreciated because although they were other churches in the area, we were never approached or invited by any of the other churches. I need some fan. Let me get some fan. It's hot. All right. Hope it doesn't mess up y'all hearing. One of the greatest gifts provided by this church was their encouragement of everyone to be born again. They also had us studying scripture and teaching us how to apply the scripture passages in our daily lives. As young teenagers, we attended weekly Bible study sessions and continue to learn how to address and overcome challenges in our daily living as young adults. They specifically address issues regarding life choices and personal responsibility. They taught the importance of not following the crowd and standing up for our faith. Although I knew I was not a perfect human being, I strongly felt the need to strive for better behavior and take personal responsibility for living a life that would encourage others to follow Christ. Although striving to live a better life and encouraging our neighbors to do likewise, it was extremely challenging because it addressed the 2 basic questions I had wondered about as a child: why I was here and what I was supposed to do. The more I studied and read scripture passages, I finally began to understand that I was here to love, trust, and serve our God. In addition, I had an obligation to share the good news of salvation so that others might be saved and enjoy God's grace, goodness, and mercy. Although I knew that this was a tall order, I fully embraced it and gave my first sermon in my church, abiding presence at the age of 14. I was excited and fulfilled because I had finally found a reliable way to study life and gained better insight and wisdom regarding the ways of the world. Living threat of bullying, gangs, drug addiction, and a host of other challenges were always at our doorsteps. Therefore, I had to decide every day what or who I would follow. If it was not firm in my beliefs, there were always numerous opponents who were willing to discourage me from my journey. Sometimes our life or the life of our family members would be put at risk for our decisions. I had to lift weights and learn self-defense by studying judo and karate, so our opponents would know that we were willing to defend ourselves if necessary. I knew early on that my decision would not be for the faint of heart because the history of Christianity is filled with stories of how so many saints were tortured and killed over the centuries for the sake of their Christian faith. Therefore, I knew that I would not be the first to sacrifice my life for the sake of faith. Given this historical fact of the Christian church and my personal experience with being born again on December 8th of 1963, which was 1 week before my 14th birthday, I had transitioned into a new person. I knew I had been changed from that point and no one could convince me otherwise. Therefore, my conversion to the faith with Jesus Christ as my personal Lord and Savior would be the first person after my parents who influenced my life because Jesus taught us how and why we must live together in peace and harmony throughout the world. My favorite quote is in the Bible, in the book of Proverbs. From that, the New American Bible, Revised Edition 2011, Proverbs 1 verse 7. Fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Fools despise wisdom and discipline. If anyone wants to learn about life and the pursuit of wisdom, I encourage them to read the book of Proverbs daily because it provides instructions and wisdom on how to conduct one's life. It will not disappoint you, and you will be wiser for the exhortations and lessons. Parents, I thank God every day for my wonderful parents He gave me. My parents love their children and we love them right back. My parents love their children and we love them right back. Although our parents were loving, they also knew that they had a tremendous responsibility to raise us by teaching us right from wrong. And for us to get a good education, we had to attend both school and church consistently. In addition, there were friends and relatives of our parents who felt an obligation to inform our parents if they saw us doing anything that was not in line with our parents' beliefs and practices. Oh, how we still need that. Oh, excuse me. DJ! Man! Hold on, let me call him. See if they'll come. DJ! Give me 1 second. Let me go check on my boss. DJ! Excuse me, my bad, everybody. Thank y'all for waiting. My bad. Had to check on my boys. Check on my boys. And I needed something to drink. Baby boomer children, let's pick up where we left off. Baby boomer children were taught to respect their elders, especially in African American community. Although my parents did not have much formal education, they still encouraged us to get a good education. My mother had a 12th grade education, and my father had a 6th grade education because he grew up on an African American family farm in Alabama, where he had to work the fields and bring in the crops. In those days, the boys always had to work the fields, but many of the girls were sent for higher education. That was the case with my father's sisters because she became a medical technician and moved to live in a high-rise cooperative known as Esplanade Gardens that was designed for moderate to middle-income families in Harlem. My aunt also worked at Harlem Hospital that was not far from the Esplanade Gardens. Ooh. Oh, man. Despite the differences between my father and my paternal aunt's economic circumstances, we were all very close. My mother used to babysit my aunt's daughter while my aunt worked at the hospital. It was a mutually beneficial family arrangement where everyone prospered. We were all particularly close during the major holidays of Thanksgiving and Christmas. We had a lot of fun and encouragement from our family members and close friends. Everyone seemed to take and share their goodies with each other and with those who did not have much to eat. There was no stigma that I could detect just because someone did not have enough to eat because we were used to sharing with our neighbors. In fact, I remember when my father would go fishing with his friends in upstate New York, they would often catch so many fish that no one could store all the fish in their refrigerators so that the fish would not spoil. As a result, my father would knock on the doors of the neighbors who could store and consume the extra fish and offer the fish to them free of charge. Giving spirit, very giving spirit. My father would be extremely happy with the neighbors when the neighbors accepted the fish because he knew that the fish would not be wasted and that he provided food to his good neighbors in friendship and encouragement. I do not think many people today appreciate how far goodwill goes when it is done in love with the right attitude. Goodwill in the neighborhood has a ripple effect that can last many years into the future. You never know where your blessings will go and when they will come back to you. Since my father had always shared his good fortune with hunting and fishing bounties with our neighbors, his reputation and our family's reputation for doing good deeds, helping our neighbors, grew into tremendous love and respect for our family. Our neighborhood also developed a deep sense of loyalty to each other. As children, if we saw any of our parents in the neighborhood needing help, carrying groceries or any other type of help, we gladly assisted them. The sense of goodwill, respect, and love even extended to those who were not always doing the right things. If someone was doing something wrong and they knew us, they would not attack or rob us simply because they knew us or knew of our reputation for doing good. This brings me to my mother and her best friends. As I grew up and moved away from the neighborhood, things began to change for the worse. As more and more children were growing up without one or none of their parents, a drug epidemic began. More children were getting hooked on drugs, and the Clinton administration began to crack down on crime. Unfortunately, Many young college-age African-American children who were found with a certain amount of marijuana began to receive long prison sentences, while those in the white community that were convicted of offenses with cocaine received much lighter sentences and received help for their addictions. Most people realized 20 years later that many of the sentencing guidelines were biased against African Americans and other minorities. Most of these black and minority offenders admittedly should have been drug treatment programs as well. Therefore, the children of these minority families were thrown into a system that did not address their emotional and financial needs. As a result, our street became even more dangerous with drug-addicted children who were robbing and hurting everyone out of the desperation to get high or find their next meal. My mother and best friend were concerned senior citizens who wanted to find a way to help these young folks. My mom was also the victim of one of these young people who stole her pocketbook and went on a spending spree with her credit cards. However, my mother was able to repay them with kindness. She decided that since these children were also very hungry, she began distributing paper plates with food after church. She and her best friend became the dynamic duo distributing food and chocolate cake to those who were living on the street. My mom's chocolate cake could tame anger in most people, especially me. As my mom and best friend continued helping complete strangers who were desperate for the little food and a kind word or a blanket, they became well known throughout the community. However, one day, one of the desperate souls who did not know my mom decided to rob her. To my mom's surprise, the community members who were also living on the streets came to my mother's rescue and told the other would-be robber that they could not rob their mother. If they did, everyone was willing to protect my mom. The robber backed off and never tried to attack my mom again. My mother and her best friend had become the surrogate mothers to these young people who were living on the streets. My mother's free chocolate cake were well known, and she began receiving orders from people who wanted to purchase a piece of her chocolate cake. Some people even purchased whole cakes. My mom did not really know what to charge them because she had given so much to the community at no charge. Therefore, she would just accept any donation to keep purchasing more flour and chocolate. One of the best things about my parents is that they always encouraged us to do our best. No matter how rich or poor you are, you should always encourage your kids. When I was 5 years old, I began observing adult behavior. One of the things that had tremendous impact on my life and my thoughts as a child was that the difference between those who told the truth and those who told lies. I realized that those who told lies had bad things follow them. I saw the disappointment and anger that lies had caused between adults, even if they loved each other. Therefore, I turned my attention to observing my parents. I noticed one consistent thing about my parents and their relationship with me. They did not lie to each other and would not lie to me. If my father said he was going to do something on Friday, he did it. His word was as good as gold. My mom did the same with my father. Therefore, I knew that I could believe in my parents and trust them. They were equally effective when they were praising or punishing me. I could count on them. I can count on them carry out their pledge, whether it was positive or negative. I quickly learned that no was no and yes was yes, even if I tried to get one of them to say yes and the other one said no. They did not contradict each other. Now I knew that whatever either of them said, that was the gospel truth, and there was no need to try to go between them. Now that I knew that my parents did not lie and that I could not take their and that I could take their word as the gospel truth, I asked them if they thought I could do one of my school tasks. My mom said, "Eugene, you can do anything that you set your mind to do." Wow, this was a drop the mic moment for me. My mother just told, excuse me.
Can I take my headphones off?
Yes, sir.
You blow that trumpet?
Yes, sir. I blowed it trying to call y'all, but y'all didn't hear me. So I had to come see what y'all was up to. Because I was worried about you. Because I missed you. Because I was thinking about you. Because I loved you. Because I needed a hug myself. I love you, my son. This was a drop the mic moment for me. My mother just told me that I could do anything that I set my mind to do. In addition, since I knew that my mother did not lie, I believed I could do it no matter what anyone else had said. Once my mother told me that I believed in hook, line, and sinker. Therefore, I went out on a mission in this world to accomplish something great. It didn't matter if it took some time to achieve it. I just knew in my heart that I was going to do something great. And my mind was made up because Mom said I could do it. You can do it. This why I say that parents should always encourage their children no matter what anyone else says. Parents can light a fire of desire for achievement that can last a lifetime. The other encouraging aspect for me is that my parents believed in me before I believed in myself. 7 decades later, that fire of desire for achievement is still shining brightly today. And as a result, I have 2 master's degrees with a host of certifications and achievements that will last me the rest of my life. Therefore, always encourage your children, even if you are not certain, because they may achieve things beyond your understanding or imagination. Read to your children, especially bedtime stories. Get them involved with music and other group activities because they will learn how to work well with others and build their tolerance levels and social skills. Try to attend their events as much as possible. Good parenting with boundaries can develop the right type of skills and discipline required for years to come. Although my parents had limited formal education, my siblings and I achieved much more with 2 out of 5 graduating college with 2 master's degrees for myself. My wife and I traveled the world and ran major projects for the U.S. government and industry. No one would have imagined at the time that we could come so far from such humble beginnings. However, it happened during my parents' lifetime, and we are too grateful for God for all his blessings. Therefore, we will continue to keep our faith and find many more ways to pay it forward by being a blessing to those who have yet to be born. Therefore, we encourage everyone to keep reading scripture and apply it to their life. Be kind to each other by walking in each other's shoes. Always encourage your children to do their best. We must foster the same love and respect for children who have lost their parents due to war, incarceration, and any other circumstances that may not develop their sense of love for themselves and others. We must not neglect the poor and the needy because it illustrates the strength of our nation. We should not be quick to judge others. As a final thought, I want to thank my wife, Freddie May, for encouraging me to get my master's degree and to continue working on behalf of others. My wife serves as a great inspiration to me because although she has achieved much as a leader in her scientific and academic pursuits, she is always willing to reach back to show others how to achieve the same results. She is a true servant leader who is always willing to help others without accepting anything in return, including helping me edit this manuscript. I will always be thankful to my wife for her love, support, and 42 wonderful years of marriage. Eugene Poole was born, educated, and raised in the Bronx, New York City. He majored in biology and graduated with a BA in biology from Concordia College in Moorhead, Minnesota. He also received a dual master's from the University of Maryland Global Campus, UMGC, with an MBA and a second master's in cybersecurity policy. He has a certification in the Affordable Care Act, the ACA, from the National Association of Health Underwriters, NAHU, and a certified project manager, PMP, granted by the Project Management Institute, PMI. Eugene also has life and health insurance licenses in 20 states and serves as the CEO of his own health insurance agency, listed as the Aligned Benefits Group, Inc. Eugene resides in Upper Marlboro, Maryland, with his wife and family. His favorite quote is in the book of Proverbs from the New American Bible, Revised Edition of 2011, Proverbs 1, verse 7. Fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Fools despise wisdom and discipline. And that was Mr. Eugene Poole. That was the next two on the list. Miss Shirley Muhammad and Mr. Eugene Poole of Who Blessed You. Who Blessed You. Speaking to the Children of Israel, curated by Mr. George Frazier and Stan Matthews, and my brother AZANIAH Israel. Who blessed you? Man, we're moving right along. Hey, I kept my word. I came back a little later than I should have been, but I came back and we got the second reading for the day down. Man, we gonna move along this book, man. We're gonna assassinate this thing. I'm gonna keep doing my part, baby. Conquering the world. Destroyer of worlds am I. I'm gonna keep doing my part to bring down the wickedness in high places and the darkness of this world by reading book after book. Because that's what they say. You want to hide something from a nigga, put it in a book. So we're gonna see what's hidden. What is the hidden agendas? What can we learn and grow from in the many different pages that we may search through? We're going to be like Frodo Baggins. As we go on a trip through the books of Moldor. Shit. Yeah, that's what it is, man. We're going to keep pushing. One book at a time, one session at a time, of reading with Shiloh, one book at a time, one chapter at a time, one page at a time, one line at a time. Here a little, there a little, till we find what we're looking for, baby. Until we have vanquished the many books that come against us. This is not a big one. This is an all right book. I think the Hobbit can take care of this one. Bilbo can take care of this little book. It's when we get to the big ones. Oh, I need Gandalf. Oh, shit. But happy Sabbath, everybody, man. Happy Sabbath. Happy Sabbath. We're going to be back tomorrow for the Sabbath reading. Tomorrow. We're going to pick back up in 2 Samuel. Let me see. Yeah, we'll pick back up tomorrow in 2 Samuel chapter 6. We'll start at chapter 6. 2 Samuel chapter 6. And see what's going on with King David, baby. King David, he out here. Him and Mephibosheth. Mephibosheth. Yeah, we'll see about that tomorrow. Put that right there. I'm gonna need to read that a little bit tonight. Went over that. I don't know, honestly, Miss Ira. Whenever I wake up, oh, I don't know. Man, I don't want to give a time and lie. You know, I don't want to give a time and lie. I want to be a man of my word, like Mr. Eugene Poole Daddy was. He said it this, and that's what it was. So I don't want to lie. It will be morning time. So right now, I don't know what time it is for y'all, but right now it is 7:59 p.m. my time right now. I'm gonna shoot for like 10, maybe a little earlier. I'm gonna say like 10 o'clock in the a.m. I'll start Sabbath reading. We'll do 2 Samuel. We'll jump into 2 Samuel. Yeah, I'll shoot for 10 o'clock. I think that's good enough. I should be up enough. But you know, sometimes I'm up way earlier than that. So if I get that feeling, that happy Sabbath feeling, I'm reading up in the house. I'm gonna read up in my house. Yeah. So yeah, if I wake up, if I get up, you see, I read earlier. We did good tonight. The reading is early, so it just depends on as long. I don't have no reason to be up late and read tonight, but shit, fuck it. If I'm up late tonight, if I am up later on tonight, honestly, I will start 2 Samuel 2 tonight. I'll come back at a live tonight, man. It may be 1 o'clock in the morning, 12 o'clock in the morning. If I'm up and I'm feeling good, 2 Samuel gonna be heard, baby. I won't be out here, 2 Samuel. And then we'll just pick up, tomorrow. It'll still be the same thing. I'll get up tomorrow at some time. If I read tonight, if I happen to read tonight at 1 o'clock, then I will not do a 10 o'clock reading in the morning. I will not. If I do not read tonight, then definitely I will do a 10 o'clock reading in the morning. Yeah, we'll do that. 10 o'clock is fine. I think it's late, though. I think 10 is late. Oh, but I think 10 is fine. I just hate that. All right, Miss Ira. I'm going to be out here on the Sabbath reading, waiting for you, baby. Down here, you up there like Mr. Eugene Poole, his family up there from Upper Marlboro, Maryland. Upper Marlboro, Maryland. I got people up in Upper Marlboro, Maryland. I've been there a couple of times my damn self. When I was in Aberdeen, when I was stationed at Aberdeen Proving Grounds for AIT, when I was in the military, I went out there a couple of times. It was pretty good. Rode the train for the first time out that way. Aberdeen. Well, here's what it is. Oh man, I feel like reading some more. I ain't even gonna lie. I don't know about the readers. I wonder if the people who read a lot. I'm starting to feel kind of like how it is like when I be working out. When you work out, or at least when you working out, you get at least for me, like when I work out and I've been working out for a little bit and I've been feeling good and I feel good, it make me want to do more because I don't take all that pre-workout and all that shit like that. So reading, the more consistent that I am with the reading, it makes me feel better about reading. It makes me want to read even more. The same way with like lifting. The more I lift, it makes me want to lift even more. So, but we're going to keep pushing, man. We're going to keep pushing. One book at a time, man. One book at a time. I appreciate y'all rocking with me, Miss Ira, Stephen, whoever else has been on the stream, on the live. This has been tonight's session of Reading with SHILO, where we jumped into Who Blessed You. by Mr. George Frazier and Stan Matthews and AZANIAH Israel. We'll keep pushing next time. I hope everybody have a wonderful night. Wonderful night. I hope if you ain't seen the live, if you're late to it, catch it on the rebound once it finish uploading and all that good jazz, this and that. And we'll see about later on tonight and for sure tomorrow for the Sabbath reading. So prepare yourself, get your Bibles ready, get your dictionaries ready, your highlighters, your tablets for note taking and all that there. And we're gonna see what David talking about as he comes king. Yeah, I don't know if I can live up there, man. Cost of living up there. My auntie live up there. I don't like up there. But that's what it is, man. Hey, y'all have a nice night. Shalom. Happy Sabbath, everybody. Till tomorrow. I'm out here. Shalom. I'm out.